I think it's family. I think it's family. I really playing Ben was I really enjoyed it because it was a really great arc for me to play in that movie, and a character who clearly loves his son and clearly loves his wife, but is losing them.
Yeah.
And then uh and then through the circumstances with um his son and the situation that they find themselves in, finds that he's losing them also in a different way as well.
Welcome to Survive the Shows. Welcome, everyone, to this exciting interview segment here at Survive the Shows. I'm Desiree, and today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Jonathan Hawley Purvis, star of the LMN movie A Taste of His Own Poison. Join us as we delve into Jonathan's insights into his character and the challenges of filming this movie. Thank you for being here with us, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me, Desiree.
It's a pleasure. So, talking about A Taste of His Own Poison, what initially attracted you to the script and to your character in Taste of His Own Poison?
Um, you know, a lot of the times for these movies, we actually don't get to read the full script when we audition for it and to get the role. So all we get is kind of the tiniest chunk. Um, but I remember when I got the audition for this one, I really connected. I mean, Ben's just a guy who he kind of neglected his family life, and it's falling apart around him. But he doesn't he doesn't want that. He doesn't want to lose his wife, and he doesn't want to lose his family with his connection with his son. And he's at that stage in his life where he's at realizing the mistakes he made along the way, and how he prioritized his life. But it's kind of all too little, too late at the beginning of the movie. And so I remember doing one of this, like the audition scene for that, and that was some of the information that I actually knew about the story. And and I found it really interesting, and I really liked the idea of the family that was sort of falling apart, but how it wasn't what he wanted, and he didn't know how to fix it. And so I thought that was very interesting. And so uh that's what I went in with. And then of course once I got to actually read the script, I was it was great. You know, it's the bringing together of a family from a some very bizarre circumstances, but in the end kind of turns out okay, you know?
Yeah, great. And how did you prepare emotionally and physically for the darker aspects of your role?
Um well for me, I mean, you know, this kind of goes into a little bit of, like, you know, actors and their technique and what they use, and there's a thousand ways. Whatever way works, you know, is the best way to get into it. But for me, it's just about getting on set on that day, knowing the scene, having an idea about the scene, and working with the actor, and just putting trust in with the other actor. And so if it has to go dark, then just to try to breathe your way through it, and find it in a really you know, natural, authentic way. Um, and if it has to be sad, kind of the same thing. It's just really finding it there with the people you're working with. I don't spend a lot of time on my own thinking too much. I read the scene, I figure out what the scene is about, how it serves the greater story, and and I find a couple ideas that I might have of, you know, of how I think the scene might roll out. But I also don't know what the other actors are going to do. So it's like that's that beautiful play that you try to find time to try to do. But you know, it's still, you got to move fast with these movies. So it's, you know, you got to come in with something and just throw the spaghetti against the wall kind of thing and see what sticks. Um, Physically, you know, yeah, there's sort of, we got to kind of do a bit of a fight sequence in this movie, which is really fun. I also work as a stunt performer, and I do choreography for fights for the stage as well. So physically, I love that's my favorite stuff to do. I love doing the action. It's kind of my it feels like my home turf. If I get to act and do my own stunt work, then I'm a happy man. So there's just a little bit in this one, but yeah, I got to throw some punches and rough up the actor Blake who um, who played Evan, and we had a good time. It was great.
Yeah, amazing. And what was the most challenging scene to film and why?
Oh, that's a good question. Most challenging scene. Um, I mean, uh, there was a scene, and it's challenging for not not the reasons you might expect. There's some emotional scenes. Rhonda Dent and I had some really great scenes where, as the movie kind of goes on, where we sort of start to reconnect and find each other. But those scenes weren't hard. Rhonda was amazing to work with. She's so lovely, and we had a great time and really easy connection. So it's so funny because those scenes that might be perceived as harder, sadder scenes or emotional scenes or angry scenes, those weren't hard. The hard scenes are the ones sometimes when you just have uh, a lot of dialogue to say, or you don't have a lot of time to film the scene. So I remember one of the scenes. There's this a scene early on uh, where our son has been taken to the police station, and we're having a discussion with the detective. And I had this line, and I don't even remember what the line was, but just it didn't flow very naturally. So it took me forever to say that line just correctly once. So that kind of stuff. Those kind of things are the hard things. Or there was another scene later in our son's bedroom where Ron and I were chatting, and it was a long scene, maybe 4 pages, quite a bit of dialogue, but we were really pressed on time. We got a bit behind on that day, and so there wasn't time for multiple rehearsals. There wasn't time for extra setups. It was kind of just stand, and we just got to do this whole scene. We have 30 minutes. Let's roll. And those are challenging because you have to just trust, and you have to let go, and you have to just try to let everything feel real, even though it's kind of chaos. And so like that stuff is more challenging than what might be perceived as challenging on the outside.
That's great. And can you share a moment on set that surprised you, either about the story or your co-stars?
I remember. I think one of the gifts as an actor that you can get is when emotions surprise you, because you don't want to plan too much for emotion. You want to plan for your thought process or whatever your character is going through, but you don't want to try to manufacture emotions. And so you try to just let things roll out and be as they may, and hopefully it turns out okay. And there was a scene. There was a scene with Rhonda and I. My character, spoiler alert, was in jail at the moment, and we were having a discussion through kind of a glass wall. And it's one of the earlier times that our two characters, their marriage begins to sort of reconnect a little bit as they're going through the trauma of what's going on with their son. They're sort of finding each other again and finding support in each other. And I remember we were just doing the scene, and it was kind of a goofy day. We were being a bit silly because they're long days, and we were just laughing a lot. And then we just started doing the scene, and I got really swept up in it in a really good way, and really positive. It was such a nice, it was such a nice scene. Maybe on the page, it wasn't anything super special, but in that moment as we filmed it, it was really, really sweet as Rhonda's character was expressing there was an aspect of me that she missed, and then my character was sort of taking that in, making the sacrifice that he made for his family. And yeah, and I found it was really sweet and really heartfelt and really beautiful moment. And uh I love that. That's such a gift. When when things just happen,
Yeah,
that's sort of what it's supposed to be. But again, it just sort of happens to you. And I remember thinking it was like a really beautiful scene. I felt really happy for all of us involved when we left that scene, because I was like, hey, that was really great. Nice work.
that's great. And how did you collaborate with the director to shape your character's arc?
Oh, that's great. I mean, I think everyone's kind of got their own process, like I mentioned earlier. Everyone's got their own system and their own way to do it. Um, I'm the kind of person who really likes to just look what's on the page. I don't spend a lot of time fabricating information outside of the page. I really think that what's there is what the audience is going to get, and anything else I want the audience to fill in with their own imagination. So I'm not the kind of person who comes up with a big long backstory or fills in the details on every point. I really like to leave some of it ambiguous and leave it a bit of a mystery. And I felt like the other actors in the show were very similar. Rhonda and I, because we spent the most time shooting together, and it was really, really easy. We just sort of talked briefly about what perhaps created the crumbling of the relationship and some of the reasons why the marriage was falling apart, because that's where the movie starts. So we just had a brief talk about those things, and my character was probably working too much and didn't bother to carve out time for his family, and her character was probably getting slowly more resentful and more removed from the marriage. And then that was kind of the end of the discussion. And then it was like, okay, good. And then let's just do the scene. And then that's kind of how it evolves. So for me, the prep work and the prep work with the other actors is just knowing that we agree on kind of what the scene is about, not necessarily what each character's motivations are, because that's individual, but what is the scene about? What's the purpose of it? Where are we in this space and time? And especially when you're shooting things out of order and you're bouncing all over the script, that's a great thing to check in with other actors, with your co-actors, is just to say, hey, so where have we come from? When was the last time we had a conversation? What was our last conversation about as our characters? And just getting yourself into the right mindset, so that when it comes time to um jump into that scene, you have some context. But yeah, that's about as far as I take it.
Great. And what theme, or message in Taste of His Own Poison resonates the most strongly with you?
Um, I think it's family. I think it's family. I really playing Ben was I really enjoyed it, because it was a really great arc for me to play in that movie, and a character who clearly loves his son and clearly loves his wife, but is losing them.
Yeah,
And then uh through the circumstances with um his son and the situation that they find themselves in, finds that he's losing them also in a different way as well. And then as a result does the only thing that he can think of, which is finally be there and finally do something, and take the hit, as it were, for his son, and uh and put his priorities away and focus on protecting his son, so that his son can have a rich and full life. And uh it does it not necessarily in the right way, but it's that sense of family for me is sort of the resounding theme, that idea of protecting your family and caring for your child, and realizing, and that like that realization of change, that realization of of how much I mean, it's just life, it's life work balance, right? Like not to get too much into everyone's life, but it's life work balance. It's he's a character who believed that he was doing his best for his family by working all the time and not being with his family. And through the course of the movie, comes to realization that he missed out on that connection and that experience with his family. And so uh that sort of theme and that journey for me really resonates with me as a father myself. So it was great to play and a lot of fun.
That's amazing. And in what ways does this role push you outside your comfort zone?
Um, I mean, I think that's a good question. I think Ben weirdly kind of sits he it actually sit in a really natural place for me as an actor. Um, because his priority and his connection is just protecting his family uh and trying to connect with his wife. So many aspects of it really connected, and it was actually really easy. Um, I think what's challenging is that because I'm a happily married person and in general I think a really nice guy. It's hard. I think sometimes it's hard uh to kind of fit the shoes of someone who's kind of been a lousy husband and lousy father in many ways. Is like that doesn't sit close to home. So that's a situation where I have to, or, where I have to kind of find my way into it. But I think for the most part, that role, it was really easy. And I don't mean that in a flippant way. It was just like it was a really great time on set. It was such a fantastic cast of actors. Um, Soren is a wonderful, wonderful director. And the crew, I've worked with that crew a number of times now, and they're like, amazing. So it was really easy. I found my days to be easy and simple, and it was a real pleasure.
Great. And how do you think audiences will respond to the twists and turns and the moral dilemmas of your character?
Oh, I mean, I always hope again, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, I like to leave a lot of questions. I don't like to fill in all the details of all the information, even as an actor. So I don't need to know everything. And so because I always hope the audience fills in with their own ideas and their own predictions. And so, yeah, I hope people think that it was me all along, or that it was, or that my character has some dark, mysterious side, or that, uh, or there's it's ambiguous of what happens in the plot, and that stuff is I love that stuff. I think that stuff is great. um uh and I that's what I hope that they get to see, and and recognize that in the end that like Ben was a really good guy.
Great. So, change of subject, talking about your career in general. Looking back to your first professional role, what lessons have stayed with you from your first professional role?
Oh, wow. I mean, my first professional gig after I finished college was a theater show. It was a kids touring show, and it was a clown show. And I I remember bunch of the actors in that show were actors who had been in the career for quite a while, and they were just they were just wonderful and grateful and thoughtful and professional people. It was such a great group of actors for my first job at 20 years old, or however old I was. And I remember to this day just how they conducted themselves daily. We had so much fun, but they were consummate professionals and respecting the work, even though it was a kids touring show, and even though it was a kind of a fun, silly clown show for kids, they still, they took it with heart and tackled those challenges of that show. And I don't know. To me, that's the number one for me is to be grateful for the work, and to be a pro and just do your job.
Great. And who have been your most influential mentors on set and off?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've there's been a lot of people over the years. Uh, I don't think I could pinpoint um, individual people over the years. Honestly, I've learned so much from so many gracious and grateful people, and I every time I work on a project, I hope to meet somebody who is inspiring or interesting or can help teach me something. But I do remember when I was in college. My I had a teacher in college who she's probably responsible for making sure that I actually went into this business properly, because I was in college when I was quite young. I was 18 and 19. And so I was and I was a little bit lazy and a bit of a procrastinator. And one of my professors really just took me aside and gave me some tough love about what it's going to take to make it work in this business, and that I had the potential, but I needed to step it up a little bit. And and she's a dear friend to this day. And that's been, that was definitely a turning point where I realized, I mean, I was young, but I was like, oh yeah, I gotta figure it out and work a little bit to work. so so yeah, she was great. And then along the road, just so many wonderful, talented people that I've had the privilege to work with. And my wife, who's also in this movie, Alana Hawley Purvis, she's my rock every day as we go through this life and this crazy business. I would be remiss not to thank her for always being there and being my other half.
That's cute.
Yeah, yeah,
So, talking about mm, your past role, which past role changed you in a way that prepare you for a taste of his own poison, if there is one, or some of your past projects?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this for sure. So the first chunk of my career after I finished college, I spent most of it working in theater. And I live in Canada, and I did theater kind of all across the country. And for pretty much a solid decade, that was my career. And but at some point, I was really, really interested in film and television and wanting to put more energy into it. And so Alana and we moved to Vancouver, and to to try to sort of set our sights on that industry a little bit more, and start a family and all that stuff, and settle down. We were, when you're a theater actor working across the country, we were transient for quite a long time. Um, and I've had amazing opportunities here, but I'll never forget the one of the first uh uh movie of the week movies that I shot, because I was used to theater, and I was used to, rehearsal process and building that time. And I had worked in film and television. I was used to spending a whole day working on one scene kind of thing. And I had worked on some, a few larger projects. And so I had that experience. But coming into one of these movies, where you really there's just, they shoot them very fast. I mean, it's not recklessly fast, but it's quick. And the expectation on everybody, from crew to actors and director, everybody, the expectation is that we're going to work hard and we're going to work fast. And so the first movie that I was on, that shot out here, that was an MOW. I I just, it was sort of a amazing experience to sort of watch this process, really, look at my call sheet for the day and see 12 pages and dialogue and scene and locations and day changes all in that single day. And to just, you know, put a smile on and go, okay, I guess that's what we're doing today. And and it's a really great flex, as an actor, a really great training opportunity to have so much to do in a day. I have been on a set and it's great, but I've been on sets where, it's you've got we're shooting one 2-page scene, and that's the our most of our day. And we spend lots of time, and you get a lot of different rehearsals, different takes, different options, different setups for the camera. But movies like this, where we have these giant emotional dialogue scenes, and we have to film it. And I kind of love that. I kind of love that craziness. And especially coming from theater, it didn't scare me. It just made me really excited. So that was such a great learning curve to kind of, as I shifted my profession a little bit, to enter into this world where we are filming this movie, and we are filming it all day after day for 12 days, and we have to get it done, and there's no time to not get it done. And but also there's no time to panic, and there's no time to get upset or be hard on each other. We just have to work together and do our job, and I kind of love that.
Yeah, great. And talking about your future project, are there any genres or character types you haven't tackled yet, but hope to in the future?
Oh yeah, I mean, I I really love, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but I love action. And so I'd really like to play a character that gets to do some more action, because I love doing it. It's one of my favorite things. So yeah, some more fights and stunts. That would be great. I would love that if I could get a project that had a really great story mashed up with some really great stunts and action. That would be sweet. I mean, I love playing bad guys. I feel like every actor says that, but bad guys are a lot of fun. Because I don't, that's not who I am on a day-to-day basis. So bad
Yeah.
guys are great. Yeah. And I also would really love to play the. I've done a couple of rom-coms before, and some Christmas movies and stuff. But I'd love to be the lead in one of those. Like I'd love to do the rom-com thing. I think that would be a lot of fun. I think that would be really great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. I agree. So, if you could collaborate with any filmmaker or actor, living or past, up to you, who would it be and on what kind of project?
Oh, oh man. I mean, that that's a huge list of people that I would love to collaborate with. But if I were to set my sights to the absolute top,
Yeah,
uh, I feel like if like to the at the absolute top of that pyramid, like giant list of people that I would love to work with, I would love to even just to meet and chat with Christopher Nolan. His movies. I just love his approach to filmmaking so much. Um, and respect his body of work so much. He's somebody that if I could just chat with him, that would be awesome. And then, and then, I also, this probably sounds crazy. I would love to work with Tom Cruise. I feel
yeah,
like I feel like he his his passion for his work and the projects he creates, and also, I said it, I love stunts and I love action a whole lot. So and I appreciate, and to this day I appreciate the fact that in the movies that he produces, uh, his dedication to realism and his resistance to using special effects for everything, and doing his own stunts, obviously. But that's something I really respect and really admire and would love. Yeah, I mean, even just a coffee would be sweet, but collaborate.
Yeah, great. So the last question, talking about your future project, can you share something about what's next for you?
Oh, I mean, uh, life of an actor. I'm in the middle of what I feel like 99% of actors are at when they're not filming is I'm just in auditioning land right now. And so there's, it's the process. It's a crazy business of work really, really hard and work on amazing projects. And then as soon as those projects are wrapped, uh, go back to the auditions and hitting the pavement. And because that, in a way, I don't think it gets talked about enough, but that is the job. That is the work. A big part of the work is not working and pursuing your next career. So that's where I'm at right now, is just auditioning and waiting for the next one. And hopefully I'm talking with there's so many wonderful people I've met in the industry over the years, and is starting to come up with ideas about producing our own things and getting some of our own projects off the ground. So yeah, it's a bizarre career and very strange, and I always look forward to the next one. Um, I will say that I don't know if anything will happen yet, but I did do stunt work for The Last of Us, HBO's The Last of Us show, and uh and such a I loved doing it. I did for both season one and season two, did some stunt work, and I loved it. And so I know the buzz for season three is coming, like it's in the air, so it's happening. So I would love to get back on that show just to do stunt work. I get to, I play the crazy infected people, and it's just tons of fun. I love it.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is it. Make sure, all of you, to coach Taste of His Own Poison on Lifetime platform. And thank you, Jonathan, to join us today.
Thanks so much, Desiree.
It's a pleasure. And thank you all for watching. Bye.
Bye.